Hey everybody, welcome to Invest in Your Health. My name is Chris Steele. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. We're going to be talking about your athletic health today. I want to thank First Community Bank for the opportunity to come talk with you guys today. And today we've got Mr. Pat Malone with us. Pat's a friend of mine. We've played tennis together and known each other for a few years. I'm really eager to hear about athletic health with him today. And there will be a bias toward tennis. That's Pat's specialty, and I'm a big fan of tennis as well. Fan of a lot of things, but just going to throw that out there to begin with. So, Pat, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Excellent. Currently I serve as director of NEA Tennis and also president of the United States Professional Tennis Association, Arkansas Division. And I grew up in Batesville. My family's from Batesville here. Currently reside in Jonesboro, but we have 11 counties in northeast Arkansas that have basically said, hey, let's grow some tennis together with Parks and Rec and the United States Tennis Association. So that's what we're trying to do.
That's exciting. I'm glad that we're getting more and more tennis stuff here. The reason we're talking about tennis today is because sports in general, with the days we live in now, a lot of people are staying at home more. There's a lot more people that are looking for activities to do in a safe, responsible manner, but also to keep their bodies healthy. And so that's why I wanted to bring you to get some tips on this, things that we can do to keep ourselves healthy, keep our loved ones healthy. And so I'm really excited. Tennis has been a big thing. You know, in Batesville, tennis has been really big in Batesville for a long time. Kind of dropped off a little bit for a while. You want to tell us a little bit about that history?
Yeah, you know, when I grew up here in the 70s and 80s, that was the time of McEnroe and Borg and Connors and American tennis. It was exciting. And a lot of the population in Batesville played tennis. Mm-hmm. The roots are deep in tennis in Batesville. In tennis, the United States Tennis Association noticed the drop-off over the last 10 or 15 years, and so we're working on bringing tennis back, as a public sport that everyone can play, all ages, all socioeconomic statuses. Mm-hmm. We have adaptive tennis programs for the autistic spectrums, wheelchair tennis. So really, it's universal. The sport, that everybody can play it. It's not a new sport, but the way we're delivering tennis is brand new. Mm-hmm. They've changed the equipment. Mm-hmm. They've made the balls slower, so we can teach the younger children tennis quicker. They're more successful with the slower tennis balls. They've shortened the rackets.
When I was younger, they taught me how to hit it over the fence with those balls. That's what I learned before I learned how to hit it properly.
Absolutely. And so just modifying the equipment, making it more affordable, giving people more access to the game has spurred that. We're certifying more tennis pros in the state of Arkansas, especially northeast Arkansas. So
that's exciting to hear the growth there. I know when I was growing up, I was born in Batesville, but I grew up in Little Rock, and I played tennis with several people from Batesville. A guy named Will Reed I used to play doubles with, and there's a doctor by the name of Jordan Weaver that practices here that was quite a tennis player. Mm-hmm. So if any of our listeners see Jordan, you can talk to him about his tennis game. So it's definitely been big, and I'm excited to see kind of a renewed growth here. So you mentioned the balls have changed, the equipment's changed, and it really has opened it up to more individuals. So for older people who may not be as mobile as they were when they were younger, to me to some extent, are there things that older individuals can do in tennis if they're not feeling like they're up to singles or playing against people like that? What are some of the tennis things you can do for people as they're getting older?
Absolutely. With the new modified equipment, the slower balls, we're integrating those with the older crowd because it serves the same purpose. Mm-hmm. Just slows the game down so that ball sits up in the air longer, gives them more time to move their feet. But us as pros, we're able to adapt and modify to whoever we've got on the court, regardless of age or ability. And if it's folks that don't want to move much, that just want to get into ready position and hit the ball. Yeah. And also, the social and mental aspect of just being out on a tennis court is just as important as the physical part of it. whether someone's at home lonely and they need that social connectivity, come out and join one of our leagues, get in one of our programs and meet people. Tennis has always been great for that. And on that same note, right now in today's times, you know, a tennis court is 78 foot long and it's 36 foot wide. You can fit a lot of people on a tennis court and still remain 6-8 foot apart. And we do have new rules and regulations during phase 1 coming back with public programs to keep people safe, such as our clients, when we do have them on for lessons, not to touch the tennis balls. And so the pros are picking up their own balls. We want people not to congregate on the tennis court before or after. We're sanitizing all the equipment before and after. But tennis is naturally a socially distant sport, but you can still remain socially connected. And that's what's bringing people to the tennis court. And we're seeing a spur in equipment sales for the first time in 15 years because people are looking for something to do, like tennis, like golf, where it's naturally socially distant. And so
well, that makes sense. I'll tell
excited
you,
about it.
If I knew the pros were going to pick the balls up for me all the time, I'd be
Exactly.
showing up to lessons more often. This is wonderful.
And we're using some great equipment to do that too, new tubes and ball mowers and things like that, but it is exciting.
That is exciting. Well, yeah, I think if you were giving some recommendations to people who have heard about tennis, they probably remember when they were little hitting a ball back and forth but don't know much about it, what would kind of be some of the steps you would recommend them doing to get outside? We know getting outside, we had another guest, Dr. Jeff Angel, talk about bone health and joint health and how getting outside gets you that vitamin D and gets you some stuff that's really great for your health, just getting outside. And from a heart standpoint and your vasculature, getting outside, getting your heart rate up is healthy. And I can tell you, even related to coronavirus, they've said that vitamin D could be a big deal in kind of a way to help your immune system kind of fight that off. So I know getting outside is key. What would be some of the things? Some people think, well, I've never played, I don't know where to start. How would you start just going out to be able to go have fun if you don't play often?
Yeah, you know, and that's always kind of been a problem with tennis. And so to solve that, we've got to have access and information out there so people can find it. And right now it's neatennis.com. I mean, we want people to go to our website, look at those programs, email me at pat@neatennis.com. We have great relationships with the Parks and Rec here in Batesville and Jonesboro, in Blytheville and Wilson, Arkansas, where people can call Parks and Rec and they will direct them to us. Yeah. And we have all types of programs. We've got a great relationship with the United States Tennis Association, and they have beginner adult programs and junior programs. We provide all the equipment. We just want them to call us. Get in touch with me. We'll get people on the tennis court. We'll find you a partner. We'll find you a league. We'll find you a lesson, a coach, just to come out. There's ways at home people can get involved by going online to the United States Tennis Association website. And there's activities, videos to show people how to teach their children at home. Modification of nets. You can play in the driveway. I learned in my garage, hitting it off the wall. So there's ways to really get into tennis without being on a court. Yeah. But we're easy to find, and we follow up and get you right out on the tennis court.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, we just, at our house, in our barn, we had a flat area, so we put up 6 sheets of plywood that were 8 feet wide, so it ended up being a 16-foot wide, 12-foot high wall that we put inside the barn, and the kids can kind of hit against it. Right. And so it doesn't take much to put something together and get some moving their feet, hand-eye coordination, all those kind of things.
You know, one other program I want to mention to get kids involved in tennis, and so people will start to see that it is a sport anyone can play, is the United States Tennis Association has a program that provides free tennis equipment to each school district's PE teacher. And so they get $1,000 worth of tennis rackets, balls, and a world-class curriculum to put tennis in the PE classroom. So if any teachers are out there listening, contact me and I'll tell you a little bit more about that program to get tennis into the PE classroom. From there, we take them to after-school tennis programs and then into junior team tennis. So we provide clear pathways for your child to start and to get into programs. So it is a sport of a lifetime and to keep people playing.
Yeah, one thing I've seen some people doing, you talked about nets and in smaller areas, I've seen it start picking up something called pickleball, which I'd never heard of when I was younger or anything like that. Is that similar to tennis?
It is, and it's similar to other sports, ping pong, on steroids they call it sometimes, but it is shorten the court, use a different racket, use a different ball. It's the fastest growing racket sport in the world right now. And they've done a good job of getting people out, and getting people active, and we're feeding off of them and they're feeding off of us, and we're trading and working with them, and it's a good relationship. Our biggest hurdle is iPhones, computers, television, and the couch. It is. Kids are not required to go to PE very, very often. We're trying to help get that changed. They don't get much activity. Yeah. But tennis is a great outlet for that. It's an individual sport. If your child didn't really take up to the group type sports, individual sports are a great way to get them involved.
Well, I know for parents, me being a parent, it's always having an option other than sit on the iPad and watch it all day is wonderful. So I think having that would be great.
Absolutely.
Usually at the end of each segment, we get the audience to ask questions, and so that's one thing that we like is participation. People watch this and kind of send in some questions about it. One question that we got for you was, let's see here. If you want to play in the Northeast Arkansas area, where can we go to do that?
And in Northeast Arkansas, here in Batesville, we have 2 public courts that they just got resurfaced. They're beautiful at the Batesville Community Center, open to the public. And we ask that if you go out there to practice safe play with the new regulations, and we'll have signs up. We're getting started the 1st of June with programs here in Batesville. That's one place, and then in Jonesboro, we have Earl Bell Community Tennis Center with 3 tennis courts, and Allen Park with 12 tennis courts. And then, in each community, there's little tennis courts, but one of our hurdles is facilities and lack of adequate tennis facilities, and it's one of the big programs we're working on and having success with. The USTA is a big organization, and they own and operate the U.S. Open Tennis Tournament, which has been canceled. And so they're not canceled, but postponed, and they're looking at moving it to Indian Wells. But that's a big revenue source, and then all the money trickles down to these local facilities. So we're hoping we get that tournament back up and running so we can get back to building more courts.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Well, cool. That'll definitely help them. And if people need information regarding it, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Send me an email to
Okay.
pat@neatennis.com, or like us on Facebook,
Yeah.
NEA Tennis. That's how we talk to a lot of our people. So
Okay, great.
either way.
The next question it looks like is related to both of us to some degree. It said, I play tennis from time to time and get a pain in my elbow shortly after I start playing. Any recommendations?
First, seek out a professional tennis instructor, because technique is generally the first thing that's wrong, and causes tennis elbow. Grip size on the racket. Believe it or not, a little bit bigger grip is easier on your elbow than a smaller grip because you're not reaching down and grabbing as much. Those are 2 things and that are usually the cause of some tennis elbow. Technique and then grip size. Tension on the string and the racket, the equipment too, can cause that. You'll want to get a lighter racket with a graphite frame, and those help tremendously too. A lot of cross training, flexibility type exercises, strength exercises, carry a tennis ball in your car and build up your forearm muscles. So things that you can do like that.
Right, great. Yeah, I know when I had that when I was younger back in high school, and they made me put my old tennis pro, Billy Power, actually had me put rubber bands around my hands and kind of practice doing this and squeezing.
Yeah, and that's correct. That's a good point. It's even more important to do this because we're always doing this. When you grab a steering wheel, when you're doing on your iPhone or computer, so this is actually the best way to prevent that and to get it stretched out.
Well, cool. Yeah, it's,
Let me mention one other thing, important safety. If people are getting outside, put some sunscreen on. I went out and fished the other day and burned the heck out of myself. It was awful. Amateur mistake. Don't do what I do.
Well, that's a good point. It's easy to go out there and not think about it, and you come back and the back of your neck's red. And from a health standpoint, skin health is a big deal. Getting out in the sun, and as a tennis pro, I know you get dark. You get dark, dark from your shorts down, socks up, and but yeah, skin is a big deal. We haven't had a dermatologist on this show yet, but skin health is a big deal, and we're getting more and more research in that, and so getting a high degree of SPF on a regular basis, and it's really just getting in the habit of doing it, because you know you want to, but you don't keep it around, you don't make it easy, and so putting it, I've seen people put the spray in their tennis bag with them, just so they have no excuse. It's there, they don't forget it, and it's with their racket. So that's a really good point to add, and I think a really good way to kind of wrap this up and tying it back to our health. So I really want to thank you for coming on and chatting with us today.
Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Thank you guys again for tuning in to us. If you have a chance, we've put a lot of our Invest in Your Health episodes on YouTube. And so we've got a lot of old things regarding pet health, dental health, bone health, spiritual health, and we'll be putting this on very soon as well. And so again, I want to thank you so much. Please let us know, send us an email. You'll have our contact at the end of this about any feedback you have, recommendations for other episodes. And that's actually how we heard from Pat here. He'd watched one of our other episodes and thought of this. We went back and forth and thought this was a great way for you guys. So we really appreciate, again, you guys watching this, and we'll be getting back with you later. So for that, have a good rest of the day, and thanks for investing in your health.